Scares on the Sun Porch Session 3 is coming quite late. It's September 6th, 7th, 5th, 6th. I have to keep the baby monitor on. And hopefully Maya, it's not thundering tonight, but there are fireworks because of Labor Day weekend, so hopefully Maya will stay asleep long enough for me to record something. The Sun Porch is not super spooky tonight. I do not have the energy to, I've had some of my awesome friends send me really great props for these summer scares on the Sun Porch sessions. I have these great little bats. Thank you, Nicole. That I will eventually stick all over the wall and make a swarm of bats, but I have not had a chance to do it yet. And then I could perhaps read with this on. You can see through it, it's pretty cool. Or I could just use it to scare any of my neighbors that are able to see me through the lit up Sun Porch windows. That could be cool. And thank you, Julia, for the silk skeleton mask. But yeah, I have to get myself together with the fall decorations, and I think I might keep the Sun Porch going with spooky readings. It'll be nice and something fun to do as the months progress. I'm very tired, sorry, this video probably sucks, but I already started recording it once and had a redo, so we're just gonna go with it. I'm going to read Thirsty Creatures for George, because he said it's his favorite story, and also I think it might be one of my favorite stories to read out loud. I like being able to read something that I can start and finish in the same sitting. Even as somebody who loves to listen to audiobooks, sometimes I have a hard time listening to readings because I just am thinking about how I'm not getting the full story, and it bothers me. So yeah, I like to, man, there's like all sorts of stuff in this copy of my collection. First there's little notes that I made with whiteout and a pen for when I did my reading at the Savoy when the collection came out, because apparently I wanted to make changes even after the story was published and changed some stuff for the reading. I have a picture of my family in here and me at the Savoy with my collection. I have no idea if you can see this because I'm not wearing my glasses and I can't see on the video if this is coming out. I also have a little note in Red Room because I always thought it would be cool if anyone has read Red Room, in the part where Marcy's husband or fiance gets taken, spoiler alert, and the Human League plays Don't you want me? You know I can't believe you when you say that you won't see me. I thought it'd be cool to like have the stereo as a prop and have the Human League come blasting on when I'm trying to read that part of the story, and like be reading really loudly over the Human League. And I have the timestamps for the Human League on a little post-it note in here, but I've never actually done a reading. Maybe that can be my next reading. Red Room on the Sun Porch with the Human League playing. I also have a really funny recording of when I was practicing reading Red Room, because I was thinking I would maybe do it for a reading a while ago, and oh god, I was using the YouTube video version of the Human League to try this out, and instead of playing the Human League song at the part where it was supposed to come on, it was a YouTube commercial for herpes. So it was like this scary song, well, this not scary song was supposed to come on at the scary part of the story, and it was like, having herpes is embarrassing. And then it's just me cackling with laughter on the audio recording for that being the part that came on when I was ready to read. So yeah, that's enough rambling, I suppose. And since dog and baby are still sleeping, I will go ahead and read this. Now I'm just talking about herpes, and I feel like this is not the mood at all that I wanted to cultivate for this reading. Maybe I should light a candle. I'll light the candles, even though I'm not sure that you can see it in the camera. It'll be the sign that I'm ready for the tone of this to change. You can't see the camera. Even though I'm blind and don't have my glasses on, I am able to see that you cannot see the flames in the video. I've got to get my shit together. Regardless, there are candles lit, there are cosmic horrors booming in the distance, aka fireworks, and this is as good a landscape as any for a post-apocalyptic story. So here is Thirsty Creatures. The trees were fire, and the sky was panicked birds, and the horse was made of bone. She knew the horse would not walk forever. She also knew that when the horse could go no farther, she would trade her hell on earth for one beyond her capacity to conceive. On the day the water turned to poison, she had done the bad thing again. When her father appeared before her, she was certain it was to scold her for her atrocious, perverted ways. But when her father opened his mouth, a river of red ran out in place of reproach. In a revelation of horror, she remembered her father guzzling the glass of water from the faucet, and she gripped her favorite stuffed creature, a gift that she had not deserved, as the gore rushed from between her father's lips, hiding her face in its fur so she would not have to see. She heard the muffled thwomp when her father's body hit the floor. By then, her brother had drunk the water too. By then, who hadn't? And when he saw their father in a frothy sea of unrelenting red, he opened his mouth to scream. His insides came out instead of sound. She watched as the mundane setting of their living room became an estuary of brackish blood, her brother's red mixing with her father's. The book that had taught her about brackish water and estuaries and other interesting scientific things lay open on her desk upstairs. It would remain there now for an eternity, unless the water cleared and there was anyone left to drink it. When the bottled water had been reduced to a wasteland of empty plastic, she braced herself to venture outside. Outside, where the world rained ash and the wind blew pain. It was also where the well ran deep, and if she was lucky, ran clean. She was desperate for a drink, but recalled the book on her desk, extolling the scientific method and the testing of hypotheses. With her tongue like a shed carapace in her mouth and her innards like sand in a sieve, she crouched behind the stone wall and settled in to observe. When to delay another second would be a fate worse than what waited for her in the kitchen tap, a raven fluttered down to perch on the bait. A bucket of water exhumed from the well's depths. The great black bird lowered its head to sip and splashed water over its wings. She held her breath, waiting for a rivulet of red to spew from its throat, to rack its fragile, feathered body. The raven opened its beak, but only a song emerged, and she wept with relief. The salty tears made her thirstier than ever. She filled every container she could find with unspoiled water from the well. An old tomcat mewled and hissed and spat, and though she lamented his misfortune, she could not share such a precious commodity with a cat. She reminded herself that she was wicked and depraved, and this allowed her to stomach her cruelty more easily. She carried bucket after bucket of crisp, cool water to the barn, delivering the stores to a single stall. Encompassed in the narrow space was her father's former show horse, the strongest horse on the farm, of the most impressive breeding, the horse that would fare the best when it came time to abandon their home. Without water, the milk cow and the donkeys and the other horses fell, their already dehydrated corpses withered and shrunk, their eye sockets widening to gaping, fly-infested chasms. She was not privy to the noises their bodies made when they collapsed, but she imagined they sounded like her father had, like her brother. All things sounded the same when they fell in death. The morning the well ran dry, the air was thick and smelled of sulfur. She tacked up her mount and filled the saddlebags with bottles and canteens. She left the farm, not bothering to say goodbye. She did bring along her favorite stuffed creature, holding it before her on the horn of the saddle, a sleight of hand to delude herself into believing she did not ride alone. The earth was blood red and bone dry. She saw no one in the weeks and months after setting out, would have almost welcomed the inconvenience of defending her water supply from fiend or foe. With no one to contend with, the caches of hydration were infinite. Abandoned grocery stores reigned over empty parking lots, and households were rife with bottles of uncontaminated liquid, foregone by the fallen for the poison-spouting spigots. There were no budding blossoms or kaleidoscopic foliage with which to judge the passing of the seasons. The horse had long become accustomed to the endless road, its body changing, shifting, ridding itself of useless things like tissue and muscle and flesh. Now the once show horse was a chrysalis of dust and bone, its rib cage a steel trap that held its heart hostage. Really? Deathfly? Right from the gross rib cage of my horse to my arm, deathfly. Her own skin had fused with the horse's hellish hide. She had ridden the wretched beast to the ends of the earth and back, and would repeat this journey over and over with no end in sight. The stuffed creature, too, persisted, its body worn to nothing by the friction of her hands, its face erased by kisses from parched lips. It was a tether to the past and a clue to her future, the faceless, nameless being, a blueprint for her soul. At first, she prayed to the deities of water, of wells and springs, of fountains and rivers, and to the god and queen of the sea. She pleaded with them to release her as they had all the others, but she knew that to pray was to sin, for she knew her punishment was just. It was her fate to have all the water in the world and no way to douse the fire. Time disintegrated, and it came to her that she had not required a drink in as long as she could remember. Somewhere along the purgatorial path, she had ceased to possess those qualities that made her human. Water was no longer essential. As it were, every drop had long since dried up. Her thirst, however, was torturous and vast. If she could only take back the bad things, she'd have done so in a heartbeat. She would have drunk the poisoned water in her brother's place 1,000 times over, and the river of red would have poured from her mouth in place of all her lies. But the trees were fire, and the sky was panicked birds, and the horse was made of bone. And she was one with the horse, an empty web of regret. Like the stuffed creature in her arms, her last link to a long-gone world, she was faceless, formless, and so very, very thirsty. Well, now I have to go clean deathfly guts off of my arm, and Jess Wick, if you are watching, that was totally one of those flies that like came up from the creepy pit hole in my backyard that we eventually discovered with the sewer, but at the time we did not know that. That was one of those death flies. Anyway, thank you for joining me for what is unfortunately only the third session of Summer Scares on the Sun Porch. I should probably go in the house and just change my shirt, come back out and record another video, since Lord knows the next time the stars will align for the baby to be sleeping, the dog to not be freaking out because of fireworks or thunder, and me to have actually put makeup on. Will I do that and change my shirt and record another video? Or won't I? Who knows? But next time. How many more days do I have until summer ends? About, I don't know, 18 or so? 16? I clearly do not ever know what day it is. And Nella's totally waking up. Till next time, farewell. Blowing out the candles that you cannot see.